Hello, Facebook. I am going to start in 2 minutes. So as you're watching this as a replay, go ahead and fast forward about 2 minutes and then I'll get started here. What? What is that about? Can't find camera. I'm going to be starting here in about 1 minute. Wow. Oh, there we go. I was about to say, what? I'm going live on YouTube. It says that I'm going live. Then I'm getting my notes, making sure yep, my notes are here. Thank you for your patience. So for the one person who I can see who's here, who are you? Say hi. You know, I'm actually very okay with, unless there's something burning to come out, and this is even for replay viewers, unless there's something burning to come out, I'm really going to be focusing on, like I'm inviting you to say hi now, right? But before I go into this, but as I go into this, I will be really focused on it and not necessarily looking at comments and things until later. So YouTube is telling me that it can't find my camera. I've never, ever had this experience. I don't even know what it means it can't find my camera. I have been doing this. So I am going to give this one more try, and if it doesn't work, I'm letting it go. And I will just upload this one to YouTube. Okay, I will open my notes and I will move on. Okay, so this is a very different material that I'll be sharing here. And when I say different, I mean it is incredibly powerful and helpful for melanin transformational leaders and Black masters. Let me be clear. Melanin transformational leaders and Black masters. And the very nature of it, as it is with me, is of in the same vein, but a more potent one, as it relates to leadership from blood intelligence. So this topic here today is about leadership and money from blood intelligence, and why this matters. First of all, who am I? Master Naima, for those of you who are here for the first time. And my career as a transformational leader has been helping women, like all women, step into their power with money. And started off with healing sexual trauma and then coming into their power with money. And last year, for the first time in my career, I came into the industry in 2011, and for the first time in my career last year, I started talking directly to melanin transformational leaders because it was revealed to me that talking to us directly was essential. And so now the portal has opened for me to talk in a way that it will land in a way that it could not land even a month and a half ago, okay, let alone a year ago. So there's some key things I'm going to say before I get into the meat and potatoes of what I'll be covering here today. And so in my career, I'm an anomaly in the industry. Let me get some things out. I've been having conversations where it's just, wow, it's just, and I'll talk a bit about that today, but I am one of the few, what I have done is very uncommon, and I know why it's uncommon. And it's so like obvious to me. It's kind of like how black people don't understand how white people don't get racism, like how they don't see it. And right. And as I was listening to an anti-racist woman this morning, she says like white people really don't see racism. And yes, they actually absolutely see it. And there's a way that they just don't talk about it. It's this unspoken agreement that we're in white solidarity. So it's the same thing in the transformation industry as it relates to nobody's talking about why do we see 100 white transformational leaders who are at 7 figures, who are at multiple 6 figures, who are, living their best life, who are living epic lives, who are having the impact. And yet you'll have me and a few others who have crossed the 7-figure mark, and even smaller who have crossed the 7-figure mark in the domain of spirituality chiefly, right? I know black business coaches, right, who are selling the money thing, right? However, those who are strictly or even lean more heavily in the domain of building up one's spiritual currency, building up one's spiritual power is even more rare, okay? And so my goal is to, by Christmas of this year, to enroll 50 transformational leaders, black transformational leaders, coaches, healers, teachers, and black masters. There is a distinction in helping them cross the 6-figure mark, obviously, if that's a goal of theirs. And for those who are like, the 6 figures is baby money. I love when Gina DeVee's called, who are like 6 figures is baby money and is ready to grow more, can grow more. I crossed the 7-figure mark in under 4 years, starting off with helping women heal sexual trauma, and then in my own evolution became very excited about having women step into power with money. After a woman heals, she is wanting to live. That word want is such a sticky word. She is ready to live. She's ready to travel. She's ready to love. She's ready to feel joy. She's ready to feel good. And so it was a natural evolution of my own path for my own self as well in healing sexual trauma in myself is after the healing, then what? The what is the living an extraordinary life. So why this topic today of leadership and money from blood intelligence is what's if I don't teach this, hey, Kenise, if I don't teach this, we will continue to not have black transformational leaders and black masters and black transformational leaders, coaches, healers, teachers. We will continue to not have them making the money. We will continue to see white transformational leaders, coaches, healers, teachers dominate the space, make most of the money. We will continue to see that if I don't teach what I know. And so that's why I'm here. That's why this work matters. And so let me get like some chief things out the way before I get to the meat and potatoes, okay? And I'm gonna check. So YouTube is still not acting right. All right, so number 1, when I teach, I use the words melanin and black interchangeably. I use the words melanin and black interchangeably, and I use them for different impact within different contexts. So just know that. When I say melanin, sometimes I mean all people of color, sometimes I mean black. So when I mean just black, that's typically when I say black. When I'm talking about people of color, oftentimes I'll say melanin, because the truth is even white people are melanin. They're just a lower pigment of it. So why this work of coming into full power matters. 1, black transformational leaders are not going to get rich let alone cross the six-figure mark if they don't come into full power. Not just learn the 7 key strategies to get 100,000 Instagram followers. Not just a digital home study course about how to write proposals and how to grow your LinkedIn account and how to leverage social media no. We are a high spiritual people by nature. I repeat, we are a high spiritual people by nature. We will not create $8,333 a month, which is 6 figures. We will not create a consistent $5,000 a month in our transformational business as coaches, healers, leaders, and teachers. We will not create that money if we do not come into full power. The way we will come into full power is not the way white people will come into full power. The power that we are, white people cannot be. Take that in. The power that we are, white people cannot be. This is not divisive, this is true. This is not to create this false sort of inferiority, superiority that white supremacy has done. That has rigmarolled everybody's brain into this egoic way of being, where no, there's a natural power. There's a natural elixir and magic, first of all, in dark melanin alone. There's a communication that this flesh, darker flesh, has with the sun that a white person scientifically, factually, literally cannot have. Take that in. So why coming into full power as a Black transformational leaders matters is because, and why I'm the one to teach it, let me also be clear about that. Why I'm the one to teach it is because I've been born with, and you'll come to know what you are born with as well. I am born with distinct, specific, and necessary ways of being for you to achieve both financial success and deep personal fulfillment in this lifetime, sooner than later, not some other world, this lifetime, and to do it sooner than later. And I put here in my notes that it's taking me my entire life to get here where I am. If 20 years ago, I had the me that I am now, Lord knows what I would have created. Next, this is a long game. This work of coming into full power, leading from blood intelligence, creating money, large amounts of money from full power, is a long game. It is a being and action-based game. It is not a game of watching me on camera for 3 months. It is not a game of going to YouTube, and binge watching is great, right? It's a really great way to, the word disorient is coming to mind, but to really reorient. So there's a disorientation, but then it naturally triggers a reorientation, okay? In this game of coming into full power, it's not about you watching me or anybody. It's about being and doing. And that's what I will be teaching you. I will be teaching you along this way how to be and do. And in this, like, how long does this take? How does this work? It's 2 years at minimum to come into embodiment. Not just where you're making some money because you're working hard. Like, everybody can make some money because they're working hard. I'm talking about where it is in how you talk. It is in how you walk. It is in your first nature way of being. It just is. When somebody comes with something of a lower nature, it doesn't even land with you because you're not even on that frequency. Do you get that? Where it's like you're unoffendable. You're unoffendable. You're triggerable. And I'm not talking about you lack emotion and you're stoic. I mean, you have come so much into the return of your natural high power. And that's why I'm going to get into blood intelligence here today. This is incredibly unique. This is incredibly, you've likely never heard anybody talk about this. So welcome and congratulations. It is a huge blessing that we have crossed paths. You are so hugely blessed that you and I have crossed paths. I am so hugely honored that you and I have crossed paths. I have so much more to say, but let me keep going. Okay, so this is also not about intellectualizing this material. I have worked with clients over the years who will be like, yeah, I know. And yet their actions are based in fear, you know? So they know it up here, but they don't know it up and through here. Okay? They know it in here. Like, oh, I've read about that. Yeah. But they don't know it where it's just, it oozes in who they be. You can wake them out of their sleep and it's oozing out of who they be. Okay? So this is about getting dirty and coming alive. All right? So this is not about intellectualizing. This is about getting dirty and coming alive. Getting dirty and coming alive. Okay. I'm going to be here for about an hour, maybe a little more. And here's what I would like for you to do when we are done here. First, immediately when we're done here, there's a link with this video. There's going to be a few things. One, a shadow money, a free shadow money course that's going to be sent out. I'm thinking sometime within the next 3 weeks. Okay, that shadow money course, and I'm getting ready to get to the real meat and potatoes here, so stick around. I'm going to be here a while. This shadow money course is going to help you to really dig at the darker, heavier material that's in the way of you coming into power with money. So you're, and if I don't mention yours, you can fill in yours, because no matter what your thing is, it's going to hit it. So perhaps you have issues of feeling greedy. Perhaps you have feelings around feeling worthy with money. Perhaps you have fears around the responsibility of money. Perhaps you have concerns about managing money. Perhaps you have concerns around, can you even create the money? You know, what qualifies you to create $8,333 a month, which is 6 figures, right? Even coming into believing, because you're so heavy and have been so corrupted over time at a deep psyche level and your relationship with money, that this free shadow money course you can do at home on your own. You do this work and really start to chisel away at this heavy, burdensome, all that. Because what I will tell you, first of all, I can speak about this in this way because I've had my own heaviness and shadow around money. I remember when I first wanted to sell my first $10,000 package, I was so worried about looking greedy. Just like other people thinking I'm greedy. Not even me. Like, I felt like it was cool. Like, let's do this. I'm ready. But I was worried about other people being like, you greedy bitch. What are you doing charging $10,000 to help women become powerful and heal? You inconsiderate, greedy, not, thinking about the starving children in Africa, like that kind of stuff, right? So I'm very aware of the heaviness and the lethargy and the illusions around money. And so this free shadow money course that you will be notified of by entering your email with the link with this video as soon as we're done, you will be very blessed and happy and grateful. That is, I'm telling you, transforming your relationship with money, transform your life. Because as one of my former coaches used to always say, money is not the most important thing, but it touches everything that is. Money is not the most important thing, but it touches everything that is. Your good health is important. Where you live is important. How you care for you and your family is important. And all of those things in some way will be touched by money. So that's the one thing I ask that you do is immediately when we're done here today. Number 2, take 10 minutes and just rest. Just breathe. Just go sit down somewhere in your house. If you're out, sit in your car somewhere and do nothing. Don't be on your phone. Just breathe. Just allow that to settle, the material, and maybe even rub your body. Drink some water and gently rub your body. Okay? This is not a part of my notes and plan, but there's a lot that's going to come out now that's not a part of the plan, and that's how this goes. We take for granted our breath. Breath is such a great way to wake up when you're feeling tired, and breathe and drink some water. Drink 2 glasses of water and in the nose, out the mouth. In the mouth, out the nose. In the nose, out the mouth. And like a cycle of that. All right, enough of that. I have worked with breathwork practitioners, and so I know the absolute high value. All right. Lastly, before I go into the meat and potatoes, everything that I speak, the way that I speak from, the lens that I look through in my serving, in my speaking, in my way of being, in my way of thinking, is always from a higher lens. I am a descendant from the highest source, okay? And I'll just say this very quickly, and maybe I'll say more later, but we all have heard of universal law. So what do I mean by this descendant of the highest law, right? The highest order, highest source. So we understand the common laws, right? Law of polarity, law of cause and effect, law of gravity, law of gender, right? We all know or if you don't know, Google it, right? The chief universal laws, which govern the way this plane works. And they work, whether you believe it or not. And it matters whether you believe it or not, right? Any human being has the power to tap into these universal laws. And there are higher laws that override the word, that in high instances usurp is not even the word. So this is a high matter. I'm trying my best to use simple English language, English is a very basic elementary language, right? It's not for a smart people. The English language is not for a highly spiritually smart people. So I'm looking to take very high material and bring it down to elementary English language. So bear with me. The highest laws from which I am from, and oftentimes choose to, there's a translation that occurs. So it's not a usurping because these laws matter. It's just the higher laws can usurp universal laws. This is not taught. This is why I said that you might want to look at the rest of this later, because some of what I'm going to say could be very disturbing to your current understanding of who you are, your current understanding of laws, of the universal laws that most of us know of, and then the higher laws that we are descendants of, all right? That our intelligence actually comes from, okay? And this is what I mean when I say blood intelligence, okay? So, for Black masters and melanin transformational leaders to do what it is that I'm talking about, to be able to interface with the world from their original self, original high power. Me as a Black woman, you as a Black woman or man, or if you are another person of color, to be able to interface with the rest of the world in the very upside down world where everybody's lens is corrupt. If we were seen accurately, the way the world works today would not exist. Right now, the world is this way, and it is meant to be this way. So this is having that awareness and you walking through the world, your impact and power will come from your ability to be able to walk and use at will all the laws, the highest laws and universal law, because they all have a place. And another thing, not all of us have access to the highest laws. That's not my opinion. That's spiritual law. It's not because I want it that way. That's what it is. Only certain people have access to high spiritual law, to even be able to see it, to be able to get the crackling open of your awareness for it to even come into your field and your consciousness. There's a giving yourself over at different levels throughout your life. It's not a one-time thing that then you put yourself in position. It's called divine order, to then be able to crack open and to even be able to get on camera and say the things that I'm saying, but you saying your thing in your way that you were made and born and assigned to speak and be. Okay? Yes, English is a very trash can language. So you can see trying to take something that's of a, not even of language, but is of a frequency, and reducing it down to an elementary language, that in and of itself is a level of dissonance. All right. Okay, moving on. All right, we start now. We're going to start with the brain. Why? Because some things that I'm going to say here today are going to knock up against your brain. And your brain is going to say things about things that I'm going to say. And as I'm doing this, as I'm say what I'm getting ready to say, it's important that you take this after this video and apply it with the actions that you take. Okay? And even think about actions that you've taken up till now where your brain controlled you. Okay? So, first, your brain's only function, its only function is to keep you alive. That's it. That is it. Take that in. Your brain's only function is to keep you alive. Your brain is what tells you it's time to eat. It sends a signal to your body that it's time to eat. Your brain, you're walking across the street, your brain sends a signal to make sure no cars are coming. When you're driving, that's your brain handling everything in the car. Turn the wheel, put on your blinker. That's the brain. The brain makes sure you have somewhere to live. Okay, I got to get somewhere to live. I got to get some food. I got to get some clothes on me and the family's back. That's the job of the brain, survival. When you are, you go on a vacation somewhere and maybe you go to Hawaii and you want to go to kayak, the brain is telling you to be careful, get your life jacket, don't eat because you might throw up. That's the brain communicating to you. The brain's only function is to keep you alive. That is it. That is it. That is it. The brain that we give so much respect and credence to in American culture, its only function is to keep you alive. It tells you to get up and go to the bathroom. It tells you it's time to go to sleep. It tells you it's time to wake up. It tells you, okay, lift this leg to put this leg and put these pants on. That's all your brain does. You see that, all right? Why am I emphasizing and starting with the brain? That's the only function of the brain. Is because when you start to lead or even consider what I'm talking about here in this video and actually taking action based on what you learn in this video, what you're hearing in this video, your brain won't be able to comprehend it. Your brain is going to say things like, what? Your brain is going to say, how is that feeding the bills? Your brain is going to say, is this keeping us alive? Your brain is going to say, why does this matter? What is this significant? What does this have to do with survival? What does this have to do with keeping us alive? So then when you go to speak a higher language on camera like this, when you go to write a post that's just dripping with high spiritual truth, when you go to write a book, when you go to have a conversation, when you go to teach your children, when you go to check some white person who is out of order, right? When you go to notify your family of this is now the highness from which this family will operate. When you, right? All these things, your brain is going to say, what does this have to do with survival? Is going to say something to you in the language that you understand to get you to not operate from this high place. Okay, I'm just checking so YouTube is still not working. So think about it now. Let's take it to money, right? Remember I said my goal, if you are watching me right now and you're a Black master, or you are a melanin transformational leader, coach, healer, teacher, or the like, my goal is for you to enroll to work with my company so that me and my team can help you cross 6 figures, with 50 of you to enroll before Christmas, right? Like obviously starting immediately, and then more and more and more, at least 50 before Christmas, and then helping you from there 6 figures, right? Which is $8,333 per month. Let's say your financial normal right now is $50,000 a year. Let's just say that's you're like, that's what you're used to. That's what you're comfortable with. That's what you're familiar with. But now, with all the pain that you have felt, that your family has felt over the last 2 weeks, or should I say amplified, right? Because there's already been pain, right? Being a Black person or a melanin person, right? But let's say the pain that's been amplified over the last 2 weeks has cracked you open in a way where you're like, it is really time for my family and I to live. To live like we have never lived before. To travel like we have never traveled before. To remodel this kitchen. To buy a house. To open up this center for mothers. To buy this villa for Black teachers, for Black yoga instructors, right? Let's say your heart has been cracked open. I know mine has. So I'm also speaking to myself as I say this, right? So let's just say you have been cracked open to do certain things. And maybe you've done the numbers to calculate, okay, this is going to cost me a good $500,000. About a good $500,000 is going to be required of me to do this, right? Your normal right now, your comfort zone is $50,000 a year. That's your comfort zone. So just the thought, let's not even talk about action toward $500,000. Just the thought of going from $50,000 a year to creating $500,000 for these new heartfelt desires is going to knock the brain into over. What? You are stupid. We've never done this before. Who do you think you are? The kids need that. We got to do that. You have struggled. That's what the brain is going to do. Because the brain's only function is to survive. The brain knows nothing about the heart. Do you know in ancient spiritual work, the brain was thrown away and the heart was looked at the high brain? Do you know that the brain, this brain that we respect in American culture, was thrown away and the heart was seen as the high brain? That is a huge part of your intelligence. And what runs through the heart? Blood. The heart cannot run without blood. Leadership and money from blood intelligence, right? And that's just a fraction of the blood. I'm going to get into more of it because I'm going to be here a while today. So your brain goes into overdrive, right? And so then what do you do with that? How does one take action when they have a heartfelt dream that's $500,000? And even if I want to make it feel more realistic, right? Let's say $100,000. The dream is going to cost $100,000, which, by the way, when you work with me Not just look at me on camera and do this, you want to feel powerful for an hour, so you watch a bunch of Naima on video. That is masturbation. And look, there's nothing wrong with masturbation, but where's the action? Where's the container? I have so much to say about this and what I have learned being coached by white transformational leaders. I have so much to share with you, and what I have learned that I didn't even know. What I have learned by talking to other Black leaders, teachers, coaches, healers who have not crossed the six figure. They haven't even crossed the $50,000 mark. They're still, because we're separate. Bottom line is segregation is also in the transformation industry. So, gosh, there's so much. I'm not going to get off track. I'm going to get to this. Hold on, right? So, I'm bringing how the brain is working in thought and action and as it relates to money, okay? Because my goal is to have you come into power with money. Not just, talk and have you get all excited on this video, but to actually enroll, invest, and make large amounts of money. A friend of mine, she was here earlier. She shared a story with me on Monday. Now, I'm going to share that story later. Now's not the time. So, okay, let me keep it moving. Hold on. So, I'm going to talk about this I often talk about this from an industry perspective because I'm a business owner. I am in the business of helping Black masters and melanin transformational leaders come into power with money. So I'll oftentimes talk about this from an industry perspective. However, what's different here, what is really important for me to illuminate this right now. In the industry of transformation, of which I have come up in, okay, that is currently dominated by white people, where they are making the most money, there is not a reverence for Blackness. We know that, right? There is not a reverence for the high natural spiritual powers that Black people have. So that naturally causes a limit in the growth of all involved. Did you catch that? This is another chief reason why Black masters and Black and melanin transformational leaders, coaches, teachers, healers almost never cross the six-figure, multiple six-figure, and seven-figure mark under the leadership of a white coach. The white coach is incapable of seeing, literally, they can study high spiritual power, they can study with Black leaders, and they do not. I wish I could make this untrue. I do wish that I could make this untrue so that, so everybody can have it and do it and be it and teach it, and right? It's just not true. High spiritual power is demanding. It's incontrovertible. It cannot not emit itself. It cannot not emit itself. So what that means is if white transformational leaders had the capacity and the power to do it, it would have already been done. You understand what I'm saying? So even with them engaging in this anti-racism work, which a lot of them are doing. So I'm in the industry. I'm seeing all of my colleagues and peers who are white, who are at the seven-figure, multiple seven-figure, eight-figure level, talking about their reading White Supremacy in Me. They are working with Trudy, another anti-racism educator. They are reading Robin DiAngelo's White Fragility. They are, looking at their team and diversifying their team. They are having conversations with their clients of color. They are doing all these things. And still, the structure from which they've been raised in is structurally racist that has its own power. And then two, Europeans. Let me just even get out of the whiteness, which is a construct. Let's just go to Europeans. They have never, you can go way back, go as far back as you can find material written down. Go all the way back. They have never, ever, ever had the high spiritual power. They have taught what they have learned from Africans. They have taught. And I can feel myself ready to go deep here. And I'm not going to go that deep here because I'm really focusing on leadership and money from blood intelligence in this video. So in the industry, there was a point here. Hold on. Oh, okay. I mentioned that part. Okay, here. I'm going to reverse engineer this because I was going to mention about, right? Okay. Okay. I'm going to go to knowing. Okay. If you were born a knower, even if you're watching this as a replay, if you were born a knower, and you feel okay with posting that in the comments, or even if you're here with me live and you were born a knower, please put it in the comments if you're okay with that. What do I mean by knower? Because maybe you are a knower, but maybe you see it differently. You name it differently than I'm naming it now. A knower is a person who has material that cannot be found in a book. It's not Googleable. It can't be passed down from an ancestor. And I just got the word. So I give thanks right now. So thankful to be available to disseminate this information. Thank you. Thank you, Almighty Allah. Thank you for the benevolent spirits and those that have been opposing, that have taunted me, that have challenged me, that have encouraged me, that have inspired me. Thank you for being with me on this path. Thank you for now, and thank you for future. I am available forever and always. Thank you so much. Part of what has pushed this out of me now is that for years I have been coached by white leaders in the industry. And there was always this thing that wanted to come out, this intelligence that wanted to come out, this knowing that wanted to come out. And I could never say it to them. There was something that just wouldn't let me say it to them. Then when I dig back and I go retrace tracks and start connecting dots from my past, and I want you to see yourself in this, or not even want you, but do you see yourself in this? Start looking back to like 10, 15, 20 years ago. These, fleeting moments of things happening where you would have like an insight where you just knew. And then it's like it went away and it's like you came back to reality, right? Or you just knew something without any evidence, without anybody telling you, you just knew, right? You had information, maybe very recently, or for years, you've had information that seems out there. It's just so out there. And one, the fact that it's, never mind race, right? It's just, even for a white person, it would be out there, right? So let's just park the race part for a minute. It's out there. It is like, what? Like nobody's talking about it, not even remotely. But you know, it's something in you is like, this is true. This is true. So then when you add the black, now let's pick the race part up again, right? You add this thing that is like out there, right? Then you add you being a black person saying it. Now it's just really like, what? And that's the brain, by the way, who's doing that. And you find your way to this industry, like I have, like perhaps you have. You find your way to the industry. I found my way to this industry in 2011. The way I found out about this industry is I was in a white goddess community in San Francisco. And the leader of that community sent all of us an email to a branding woman. And that was my introduction to this industry. I didn't even know it existed. And so she was white, and then this brand woman was a white woman, redhead, pale white chick in San Diego. And it's popular now, but in 2011, it wasn't popular. You guys have seen the video series, right? Where you look at 3 videos and then they make an offer at the end of or they plant seeds throughout the videos and then make an offer at the end of the 3rd video for you to sign up for whatever it is that they're selling, right? Like in 2011, that was like magical, right? It was like, wow, what is this? Especially to a rookie like me, right? And it was well put together, and she was, abundant speaking. I mean, it just hit all the points, right? And she was selling something that cost $997. I remember that. And so I signed up for that and went on to create my own video series. Like I took action, right? Nobody makes any real money without taking action, signing up, and getting in a real container. Like, no, especially if you're black, you ain't going nowhere, okay? So that was her. Then time went on, and I would hire, another white coach for this, and I was not seeing us. We were not around, okay? And if we were, I didn't see us, all right? This is 2011, 2012, right? So then I hired another coach, white coach, had a few sessions with her. Then I hired somebody else, Then I hired another big time business coach who's famous today. She's still famous. If I said her name, and if you're in the industry, you would know who I'm talking about. And the greatest things that happened inside of that program is that it returned me to who I am because of how I was not met. It kept returning me back. It kept returning me back because they could not meet me. They are literally incapable. And number 2, my self-respect went through the roof because I invested $30,000 to be in that program. And I made payments over time, all right? So my self-respect increased. And I, in this time, was doing the work to come into my position as a master, but nobody knew I was doing it. And it was not something I could talk about in that container because most of the people in the container were white. And if there was another person of color, it may be a black person, or it may be a Persian woman, or like some other woman of color, but not black. All right. Hey, DB. And so then after that woman, I finished that program, I enrolled with another white woman who I knew was racist. Why? One, which she had, I didn't see anybody else offering, and I was ready to go to the next level. And like, that was the chief reason. Like in that moment, she had something that from what I could see, nobody else had. Now it was untrue at the time, but at that time, that's what I saw. And being in that environment, again, returned me, it's sort of like you don't know what you want until you face what you don't want, right? Sometimes it's like, well, what do I want? And keeping in mind, want is actually a word of lack. You should never be asking yourself, what do I want? Particularly, like if you're playing a lower game, you can do that. For those of us who are playing a higher game, who are working with high spiritual law, the question should always come to, what is it that my heart desires? That's where you start even getting yourself in line to receive information from the highest source, the source of the all. If you are, well, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? You don't even realize that you're actually asking and operating from a position of lack. And here's the thing, a lot can be created from a place of lack. That's the paradox. It is such a paradox. One of the things you will learn working with me is how to be with paradox and still thrive. Because the reality is there are polarities. The law of polarity is real. In order for there to be good, there has to be bad. In order for there to be cold, there must be hot, right? And then, under a higher spiritual law, you can disassemble a polarity in an instant if you have that power. I'm not even going to get into that right now. So, being in these communities where I was the only one constantly had me face myself, and it was building up the knowing even more and more and more and more. And so I'm going to fast forward to last year. That's a lot of fast forwarding because I could be here forever. So fast forward to last year. I was teaching a course called 5-Figure Clients for Melanin Messengers. It was a 12-week course. In that course, one of the weeks was about leadership from blood intelligence. Okay. And the work that I have been doing by myself and the tapping into the dimension of the all and allowing myself to, this is really tall, this is really high level, you guys. And the depth of it, when I say the depth of it, I mean the embodiment for you in the depth of it to where it starts to show up in how you be, how you talk, how you act. That is going to happen when we actually work together. Not just you watching me and then end of story. It's going to happen with you coming behind closed doors and us actually working together in a group capacity. Okay? So in that work, I'm going to blend here. So I'm going to go back and forth right here for a moment. In that work, there must be a respect. There must be a respect and an honor and an acknowledgement that you are a high spiritual being who's linking up with another high spiritual being to come into embodiment at either an equal or a higher level. Does that make sense? Okay? Because if you and I were equal right now in physical form, I don't mean like in our creative being, you would not be, you would already be being and manifesting at the level that I'm talking about. You see, so I respect and see and acknowledge who you are. Like I know, but I also know that you are who I was 6 years ago, or 3 years ago, or 2 years ago. So how does this, how do I have some evidence, right, to a story to help this, to really come into the significance of your blood intelligence and how to identify. You might even already identify it, but I mean, just to really anchor it in some more and get at it. So last year I taught this course, and at the time I knew that the material was powerful. I knew that. But remember earlier today I talked about knowing, but knowing at an embodied level where it's first nature. It's your first nature way of being. Like literally, like they got to send in the big devils to deal with you because the lower levels don't even work. The devils actually strategize to come after you because you're so embodied. You're not taken out by lethargy, and you're not taken out by mean comments on the internet. You're not taken out because your mom is asking you, who do you think you are? You're not taken out by not having the money. You're not taken out by all the things that currently take you out, no longer take you out when you're embodied. And that's what you become when you work with me. And that's what I knew. But working with Black masters and melanin transformational leaders helped me to know at an embodied level. This is what I want for you to know at an embodied level, where when you speak, your people know that you are the one. When you command, whatever you command, like people right now, Black people, melanin transformational leaders, love to watch me come feed, but are afraid to come in because they're not embodied, so many of them. They see me as, whoa, like way over there, like can't get with that. That like separate, like that's too much. I can't, that separation. That's because they are so far out of order and I am so in order. Remember I said the world is like this right now and it should be like that. It's why I say pray highly for me, for my protection. It is odd and abnormal for me to be out in the world talking like this. Who do you know? What black woman who is in the business of and who regularly speaks to blood intelligence, making money, being high and right, large amounts of it, leading from blood intelligence, getting into order. Let me say this also. It is radically out of order for you to struggle with money. As a high spiritual being, as a descendant of a high spiritual class, it is completely out of order. Hold on, something is off right now. I'm gonna pause. I can feel something is off right now. I'm going to go back to knowing. As a knower, there's material, the knowledge that you have, that only you have. It's like it sits in a vault inside of you. And the keys to that vault exist in the all. And in order for you to get keys to unlock the vault that you were born endowed with, you must give yourself over to it. There's a submission that is a prerequisite for you to get the keys to open up this vault that, like, I know this. But the ability to embody it down here, and even the willingness to, comes when you give yourself over to the forces that govern. This is where your safety lies. This is where your protection lies. And I'm telling you, now is the time. Your brain will never comprehend this. Never. Your brain will never comprehend this. I was in Bali last summer. So first, let me say this. So as I was teaching this leadership from blood intelligence in this 12-week course last year called 5-Figure Clients for Melanin Messengers, the folks in the program started to have dramatic impact. It was dramatic because I knew it was powerful, but I didn't know it at this level. And I talked about this already, where one woman, she was coming into power and her husband started tripping. Another woman ended up having to go to the hospital. And this is not to discourage you or scare you. This is to talk about how so out of order we are that when we start getting into order, the body starts having reactions. Because our current level of embodiment is one of fear, is one of out of order, is one of corruption, right? All of that. Gripping pain that is not serving. Like, so many of us are from that. And wow, I'm already at okay. And when you start to work with me, and this is one of the reasons why I can say this so confidently. When you start working with me, even before you start actually doing the work and you just pay the money, shifts start to occur. They started doing the work, and this, right? The brain gets slapped. Your concept of self gets slapped. And this is all to help you come through on the other side and become embodied so that making money, large amounts of money, becomes normal for you as a Black master. Right now, this is so abnormal. And you, as a knower. So let me say this. This is so important. This is only going to happen with a team of ambassadors. You are one of the ambassadors, whether we work together or not. So I'll say this before I go any further. Another reason why I encourage you to enter your email with the link that's with this video is that if you believe in this work, like let's say you don't plan on working with me and my team, but you believe in this work and you would like to be an ambassador of this work, you can send your email, or you can even messenger me here on Facebook. Send me a message and let me know that you'd like to be a part of spreading this word to Black masters and melanin transformational leaders. Because right now, this is so incredibly abnormal for us to be making big money, particularly in this industry. But it's only abnormal because I have been obscure. I have not spoken directly to us consistently over time, the way I did prior to the first time I started talking to us last year. And so what's also been revealed to me is that it's going to take other folks, melanin and not, to help to spread this word as formal and official ambassadors. So I'm already having conversations with folks. I have conversations scheduled, and so I'm happy to schedule to have a conversation with those of you hearing my voice right now who would like to be an ambassador. So it's fun. You get to be vocal. You get to learn. You get to be a representative. You get to strengthen your leadership and your power by being an ambassador. And it's incredibly powerful. All right. So now that I've got that out of the way. So now what I'd like to speak to is this blood piece. I just had a streak of sensation go down my left breast, the inside of my left breast when I said that. So far, what makes this, hold on. Your knowing is tied to your blood intelligence. Sorry, my screen just went blank. Your knowing is tied to your blood intelligence. When I say blood intelligence, I mean that literally. I mean the blood that currently streams through your veins. It either is that or is not that. When I say that, I mean a descendant of the class of people who were the originators and original teachers of high spiritual intelligence and law. Your blood is either a descendant of that or not. You cannot force it or make it so. How do you know that this blood runs through you? One way is that you're born a knower. You're born with this endowment of knowledge that cannot be found anywhere. You were born with it. It was given to you at birth. And your job is to submit to it so you get access to the keys that are of the highest dimensions, the dimensions that supersede commonly taught universal law. This is incredibly advanced. That's why you will be working with me for a minimum of 2 years to come to a place of embodiment where you are teaching, where you are leading, and you are making money. Unless you are supremely exceptional, which is possible. Supremely exceptional. Like ready to pop, move. Your resistance is incredibly low. You just pop, you're with it. You go, move fast, right? Because another thing that I have said repeatedly since October of last year is that masters are speed. Masters are speed naturally. What gets in the way of masters in their speed is all the human stuff. Low thoughts, shame, fear, doubt, all that. Anything that's in that vibrational terrain. Holding on for anger for too long, because anger has a place, but it dies out once you start to go higher. You cannot ascend from an anger, like holding on to anger. Like it has it can start it, but it can't finish it. And remember I said this is a long game. This is the being game. This is the action game, okay? And so to get to a place where, hey, Fernando, to get to a place where you are with ease, creating large amounts of money as a transformational Black melanin transformational leader, coach, healer, teacher, is going to come from you tapping into this blood intelligence, which is connected to your knowing. Leading from there, embodying from there. So this is going to take practice. This is going to take shadow alchemy. It's going to take being in the right container. The right container is a container that's exclusively for Black and melanin transformational leaders, coaches, healers, teachers, and the like. being in the right community, being all in, dealing with all of your lower level ways of being, transforming them again and again and again, because it's not a one-time event. When you start doing, $5,000 a month consistently, $6,000 a month consistently, some other thing will come to prepare you for the next level, because this is a long game. Remember, this is a long game. This is a long game. Nobody is going to, very few of you are going to get to six. I don't want to even say that, because you never know, right? However, just look at who you are today, right? Just look at who you are today and what it took to you to get to where you are today, okay? The work that you have done, the reading that you have done, the coaching that you have gotten, the workshops that you've attended, the retreats that you've attended, the workshops that you facilitated, the retreats that you facilitated, the crying that you have done, the more work that you have done, the therapy that you have done. Just look at all that and look at where it has gotten you to today, right? Lots of change, lots of tears, lots of exploration, lots of ahas, right? And for many of us, the final frontier is the money piece. You know why? Because it is directly, for us, related to the intelligence that's in our blood that has not come out yet, especially if we're under the leadership of white transformational leaders and coaches. Your money is tied to your blood. Your money is tied to your knowing. It is not tied to you simply doing a lot of what is taught in the spiritual community today. Meditation, it's a thing, but it's not the chief thing. Fill in the blank, whatever it is that you're doing right now. All right. It is going to take getting dirty, people. It is going to take looking at what is ugly in you that you perceive as ugly. It's going to take looking at your self-hate. It is going to take looking at your any kind of ugly, negative, untrue, right? It could not even be something that's like ugly and perverse. It could just be something that's untrue, radically untrue. 500,000, I can't do 500,000. Untrue. Is it true? Like, that's the question. Is it true? How do you know it's true? It's going to take you resolving and looking at everything that you have ran away from up until the point that we start working together. It's going to take you letting go of things that you hold very tightly to. And most importantly, why this is so critical and non-negotiable for Black masters, melanin transformational leaders, coaches, and teachers, is because for those of you who are descendants, and you know it, nobody can tell you, you know it, and you are in connection with the highest spiritual powers, the highest spiritual law, the highest divine laws, the highest divine order. Your success on this dimension of planet Earth is going to come from you operating. You must operate from the highest spiritual laws. You're knowing, the knowings that you were born with, the knowings that are not found in books, that cannot be given to you or Googleable or read, are derivatives. They are descendants of high spiritual law, right? They're like babies. They're descendants of, which means that the work that you do must be of it. The way that you connect must be of it. Is this making sense? So a lot of what hold on, let me back this up. As you start to speak what you know on camera to the people who are close to you, You will become hot. You will become fearful, or maybe not. Your brain, remember I talked earlier about how your brain will attempt to talk you out of it because its only function is survival. So your brain will talk to you, try to talk you out of it, which means you must learn. That's another thing you learn when we work together, how to control your brain and to see how it talks. You learn to see how your brain and your deeper psyche talks, the language that it uses to convince you, the way it has convinced you up until when we start working together. When you start to speak, you're going to feel other. You're going to feel alien. You're going to feel crazy. This is another reason why being in the container is so important, because when you're out there, thrown to the wolves, living amongst wolves, you're like a little pawn that's, vulnerable to destruction. When you're with us and you're inside of the container, and more importantly than being in the container is you have given yourself over to this work that's already in you. You're not making anything up. You're acknowledging and respecting what has been in you since birth. And you submit yourself to its wisdom. And you say, yes, I dedicate myself to this. It is an honor. It is a giving over. It is a submission. You immediately, before I go into immediate, when you do it for real, not, because you'd be surprised how many people think they can trick the Most High. Think they can trick the Most High. When you really do it, first of all, there's such a profound peace that you will feel, first of all. Before you submit and give yourself over, there's anxiety, there's nervousness, there's just like the fear is through the roof. Like before you talk to people, it's like that. When you give yourself over, there's a profound peace. This is how you know. This is how I know, this is how you know that you've done it. There's a profound peace. Your anxiety decreases. I was talking with a black master on Monday, and she was just like, Naima, I have to go and sit down with this. I have to go really process this. There's the fear, there's the anxiety, there's always like the gotta think about it, just these very low level ways of being. That's why you've been hearing me say, if you've been paying attention the last week or so, that the 4 chief areas that we go into when we work together is your high right way of being, your high right way of speaking, your high right way of thinking, and your high right way of taking action. And I told her, I said, when you give yourself over to this thing, your anxiety decreases. I think, and I have never heard anybody say this, I think that one of the reasons why so many black people, just us as a people, have some of the highest numbers of high blood pressure, die from heart disease, matters of the heart, is because we are so out of order. We're out of order. The world is like this, and we agree with it by our actions. And when we work together, or even if you work with another master and you're doing this work that I'm talking about, which I don't know any other master, first of all, who's black and who's public, you will be among the first. But when you come out You go from upside down like this. The work is taking you like this. That's why it's so disturbing. So you become an alien amongst clowns. And you start waking people up, pissing people off, like that. This is why ambassadors, it's so important that we have ambassadors. By us working together, you're an ambassador, but even people who are not working with us, come in as an ambassador if you believe this, if you are with this, if you know this. When you give yourself over to your knowings, so just to be clear, when you give yourself over, you are submitting to the highest powers that govern, that endowed you with this knowing. Do you know how the honorable position for you to be endowed with this intelligence that nobody else has? Do you know what an honor? Do you know what a disrespect it is? That's why you hurt the way you do. That's why you suffer the way you do. Because you hold this vault of gold. You hold this vault of highest level intelligence and you hold it to yourself. That's why you suffer the way you do. That's why you have high blood pressure. That's why you are lethargic and you're riddled with fear and laying in your bed, can barely move. High moves. I'm not talking about all of this normal petty. High moves. Why you're incapable of making high moves. Out of order. When you are made, literally, this is why we hurt. You are, ooh. When you are with me, you work highly or not at all. I do not allow. You know why? Because it dirties the space. It dirties the space. The highest spiritual laws are clear, precise, clean. There's no such thing as doubt in high spiritual order, high spiritual law. There's no such thing as maybe. There's no such thing as fear. Try, hope so, maybe so, think about it. It is clear, it is precise, it is speed, it is so fast that it is still. It's us that's heavy and lethargic as fuck. So the work that you do to come into order, to clean up, to become more fast, to be in alignment, to be correct, to be high, is the work that we do. In addition to coming into right knowledge in your relationship with money. Darling, this money thing is so easy. I first started to learn about a relationship with money through, I think this woman is Indian. And she was the first person I heard about your first memories of money. She was the first person, Indian woman. She talked about what's your first memories of money. Then from her, I started learning from a white woman about relationship with money and abundance mentality. And I was introduced to the books, The Science of Getting Rich and Think and Grow Rich and Working with the Law. All of this I learned through white people, except for I told you that first Indian woman who, offered a training about tracing your very first memories and emotions with money. And then studying that and the stories that were created out of that are still deeply embedded in your subconscious that control how you relate to money, what you allow yourself to have and not have with money, and then how to transform those stories so that you start creating plenty. What I learned by being the only Black person in these coaching programs, making this kind of money, is that the way it works in white teaching is universal teachings. It's universal teaching. So universal law, the law of cause and effect, the law of momentum, the law of reciprocity. And all these laws matter, and they work, and they are real, right? What is missing, and what I am demanding, require of you, is that you become an ambassador to help spread the right, highest true knowledge. All those laws, those universal laws, work and they matter. The reason why those laws alone are not working for Black people to their highest degree, gosh, here I go again. You can make money with universal law. I gotta dig this down a little more. Get into some more nuance here. You can make lots of money with universal law. You will make lots of money with universal law. And even as I'm saying this right now, I'm just like, as I'm teaching this and saying this, I am being reminded of the profundity of this. I'm so grateful. God, Most High, the reason why. So I just hit a pocket. Thank you. I'm gonna park white, the whole white element of it right now. And I'm going to take this even bigger than the industry of coaching. Wow. I know this to be true. When and I am this. It is here, you guys. It is here. It is here now. It is here. There's no out there. Don't need to look. It is here. When we submit to our individual knowings, because each of us has a knowing that the other one doesn't have. But when you speak the knowing, I automatically know it to be true. When another master speaks the knowing, you automatically know it to be true. I automatically know it to be true. Because we are celestial beings. This is of a higher intelligence, highest intelligence. There is hierarchy in the spiritual world. There is hierarchy. Here in the white supremacy world, hierarchy is hierarchy, pyramid, hierarchy. Oh God, no. And the hierarchy that is used to oppress, In the spirit world, hierarchy is used to know who has what information. Who has what information? There are knowings that you have that I don't have because I'm not meant to have it, like to know it in that way. I'm meant to know it through you. Like that. That is how we create money. But until you submit to your knowing, which is what I'm here for, which is why the work is here, so that you're no longer like all the devils are around you. Fear is a devil. Doubt is a devil. I can't afford it. It's a devil. All of that. They work on you right now because of your current level of consciousness and your current level of embodiment. When you ascend up out of that by acting from highest spiritual law, where you tap into that to make a decision, not your fear. When you tap into that to say, yes, Naima, I will lean in, and you submit to your knowings and say, yes, I will be the speaker, teacher, leader, coach of these knowings, even with nobody else talking about it. There is an opening in the dimension of the all that then drops the keys and allows you access to the higher ways of being and the words and ways that it possesses. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you're watching even as a replay, do you get what I'm saying? You should be I'm not even going to make an offer today, but you should be beating down my door. You should be beating down my door. People have looked at me over the years and they are wowed. They are wowed. You know why they're wowed? Because they don't understand the highest laws that I'm working from. And I have been unwilling, frankly, to be public about this until October, when I walked through the door of Master and I started talking about the path of Master being a tall order. I didn't start talking about this until October of last year. So I know it can be done. I know that nobody is teaching it because I've been out there. I have been looking. And just like what you have, nobody will know it until you teach it. Remember that? It's not in a book. It's not Googleable. Only you have it. So if you have it, that means you have the power to give it. The power is unleashed into you when you submit to it. The power is unleashed into you when you submit to it. It is emotion. Is it a relationship? When you have that power, then you are endowed with the words and ways to then come out into the world. And you construct them. You will learn how to construct them. And then bring it out into the world. Don't you want that for your people? Okay, want is a word of lack. Don't you desire that? Don't you deeply, deeply desire that? Don't you deeply desire to receive money, large amounts? It's like so cosmic, orgasmic. It's so rich. Your anxiety will decrease. Your like your pinging, like your ability to tap in at will, to get answers to questions at will, and bring it forth at will. And it's not going to happen with me alone. I'm very clear about that. It's not going to happen with me alone. I have been here for quite a while. I'm going to look at my notes now. I invite now. I have two people, and I'm sure there's some people here who, even though it's not showing in the numbers, they're watching. Anybody have any questions, or share with me how you're feeling with this material that I'm sharing? How are you feeling? Excuse me. What questions do you have, or just even something you'd like to say as I look at my notes? And I think I'm about to start wrapping up. Has your brain been saying certain things to you as you've been sitting here? So for example, let me just tell you some things that I'm sensing have come to mind here. Now here's a paradox. Remember I talked to you about when we work together, you're going to learn how to navigate paradox, because your inability, if you can only be with one side but not the other side, you will not be able to make the money, because, excuse me, the cognitive dissonance that's going to happen. Hi, Obadiah. Sure, I will name the books. The cognitive dissonance that will happen when you, I love that name. Oh no, it's Obeah. I said Obadiah. Because I think Obadiah is a wonderful name. You said Obeah. Okay. The cognitive dissonance will be so great when you are sitting in paradox. And so you will learn how to be with paradox and act from that paradox, and even integrate it to where it you can be with it, and it makes, I don't know if sense is the word, but you can be with it. So what I am sensing has come through in some of you guys' brain, or will come through in your brain, is, okay, I have this material, these knowings, this intelligence that only I have, that is meant to be disseminated. That's one of my primary purposes. It's linked to my blood intelligence, right? I am a descendant of high spiritual law and intelligence, right? All that. And I feel, and how is that? Like the brain, the paradox over here, right? Me, a black person? People are going to think I'm crazy, right? I'm a descendant of high spiritual law. People are going to think I'm crazy. I have intelligence that is meant to radically shift and improve people's lives. And my bank account is like this, though. You know, my blood intelligence tells me that I'm a knower, right? And I feel totally unworthy of being a disseminator of this information. Like, has that happened for anybody here just as we've been sitting here? That is paradox, okay? And you will learn, first of all, that how to hold paradox is holding two seemingly opposing truths. Two seemingly opposing truths. My finances are in shambles. My blood intelligence tells me I'm a leader. They're both true, right? And then learning how to deal with like facts versus circumstance, not even facts and circumstance, like circumstance and control over circumstance, right? And not having the circumstance be the decision maker, but your free will to be the decision over the circumstance. That's another teaching to go deeper into. So the books, Obeah, the books. One of them is The Science of Getting Rich. That's actually free on the internet right now. If you go and search for The Science of Getting Rich, by Wallace D. Wattles. In this work that I'm talking about, that's elementary. So that's a good place to start if you are wanting to go do some DIY stuff, right? You like to read at home, right? So you can read it on the internet. You can download it. That's free. That's The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. The second book is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. The third book is Working with the Law by, I can't remember his name. I think it's Malcolm. So those are the three books. And then for women, I don't know what's up with my internet. For women who are just coming into the relationship with money, a book that I recommend is called Sacred Success, A Course in Financial Miracles. The author is Barbara Stanny. So she got married and her name is changed. So if you go looking for her under Stanny, I'm not sure what you'll find. You'll find the book and you'll find some of her material. But I know she got married and her last name changed. But she wrote the book under Stanny. So if you search for Sacred Success, A Course in Financial Miracles, Barbara Stanny. All of these authors are white, by the way, which is fine. I'm just saying, all of them are white, so you are informed. That concludes. It doesn't look like anybody has any questions for me right now. I will be back here on Friday at 12 p.m. Pacific. Remember, this whole series, I'm here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the entire month of June at 12 p.m. Pacific. And each week is a theme. This week is sovereign leadership. Okay. And so that's why today Monday was about sovereign leadership. Today is about leadership from blood intelligence, leadership and money from blood intelligence. And so I will be continuing with this theme of sovereign leadership on Friday. And then the following week will be a new theme. Also, if there's something in particular that you would like for me to speak to during this series, and by the way, the name of the series is called Epic Melanin Dreams. I just love that. If there's something in particular that you would like for me to speak more to, please let me know. I love that. I love to know what you are thinking, experiencing, maybe some things that you have a sense of and you're like, am I the only one who's thinking this? I wonder what Naima thinks about this, and that kind of a thing. I would be happy to hear from you. So you can either post it here in the comments or you can messenger me here on Facebook. If you're seeing this video on YouTube, you can post in the comments there, or you can email me to Naima at naimasingletary.com. And lastly, please know that there's so much more to leadership and money from blood intelligence. My experience is that when I'm in an open forum like this, where it's just like out there and like anybody can watch it, the highest forces do not allow the fullness to come through, because not everything is not for any and everybody to be able to access. It's for those who have shown through their ear and open ear and who have leaned in with money. Because in modern times, we know that people give their money and their time to the things that they really care about, right? That, like they say, what you do every day is what you really believe. Everything else is just talk. That's the saying. Everything you do is what you really believe. Everything else is just talk. So wherever you put your money, most of your money or a lot of your money, or most of your time or a lot of your time, that's how I know and how you know what you care about. So when you invest, like the same way the folks who invested in the course that I talked about, had I taught that material on a Facebook page the way I am now, they would not have had those results. But since they paid and they came in and we went behind the scenes and they did the actual homework assignments, we were in an actual organized environment together with just us, with people who have expressed with their money and their time that they're serious, then they took the action, then they had the experience of starting to change and having actual results in their real world reality, okay? So next, you can be in touch with me if you'd like to inquire with me, obviously, and know that every Monday there is a specific offer that is made that is only available on that Monday. By 9 p.m. Pacific, that day is the time that you can invest in the offer that's made only on that day, which is a Monday. So the next one is next Monday. Wow, I have been here for an hour and 45 minutes, and that is just not even the tip of the iceberg. There is so much more. Please go do the work. Thank you so much for being here. Share this video. If you have found value here, then I'm sure there's people in your network who will find value. So please, right now, as soon as you hang up, click share to share this video. Remember, enter your email with this link that's with this video, because remember, there's a free course coming called Shadow Money. That's free, and it's going to help you start to deal with your money stuff at home by yourself. So that's free. So share this video. So, reciprocation. You got a lot here, you reciprocate by sharing it, okay? And then entering your email with the link with this video. And for those of you who will be returning, I'll see you Friday here, 12 p.m. Pacific. Thank you so much.